A woman posts a video crying about how men are trash while wearing a shirt that says men are wallets. Another woman complains she can't find a good man while her bio says, if you're under 6 feet 2 inches, don't even try. A third woman makes a TikTok about feeling unsafe, filmed at 2 a.m. outside a nightclub in an outfit that's basically underwear. The delusion isn't just real. It's reached levels of absurdity that would be comedy if it wasn't destroying actual relationships. Let me break down the mass psychosis happening right now, because someone needs to say what everyone's thinking. The entitlement and victim mentality combo is everywhere. I saw a video yesterday. Woman crying because her ex stopped paying her rent. She dated him for 3 months, moved into an apartment he was paying for, dumped him for someone else, and now she's homeless. But according to her, men ain't shit, because he won't keep paying for an ex-girlfriend's housing. The comments? Queen, you deserve better. The delusion is that using someone financially is empowerment, but facing consequences is oppression. Here's a pattern I see constantly in my practice. Someone will describe a situation where they made every bad choice possible, ignored every red flag, dismissed all advice, and then when it implodes, it's everyone else's fault. A client's ex spent 5 years with a man who told her day one he never wanted marriage. She thought she'd change his mind. When he left, she posted about how men waste women's time. No accountability, just victimhood. The attention addiction mixed with contradictory expectations is fascinating psychologically. The same person posts thirst traps daily, then complains about creepy DMs. They wear revealing outfits to the gym, then make videos about being sexualized while just trying to work out. They literally monetize male attention on Instagram while simultaneously condemning men for providing it. You can't sell water, then shame people for being thirsty. I watched this play out in real time at a coffee shop. Woman in workout clothes that left nothing to imagination positioned herself in the busiest area, doing stretches that belonged in a yoga studio. Guy glances over, she loudly says, "Ugh, why can't women exist without being stared at?" She wanted the attention, but also wanted to be offended by it. It's performative victimhood. The hypocrisy around safety versus exposure needs addressing. Someone genuinely concerned about safety doesn't walk alone at 3 a.m. live streaming for attention. Someone who feels unsafe doesn't post their location in real time to thousands of strangers. The "I feel unsafe" narrative often comes from people actively putting themselves in unsafe situations for content or validation. The idolizing of extreme promiscuity while expecting traditional treatment is peak delusion. A woman brags about her body count being over 100, posts about it proudly, sells it as sex positivity. Then she wonders why men don't want to commit to her. She wants to be celebrated for behavior that signals she's not relationship material, then gets upset when she's not treated as relationship material. You can't have it both ways. Here's what's wild. The same people who shame men for having standards will have the most ridiculous requirements. He must be 6 feet tall, make 6 figures, have a perfect body, be emotionally available but not needy, traditional but feminist, aggressive but gentle. Meanwhile, what do they bring? I exist, that should be enough. The entitlement is staggering. The influence of alcohol and clout chasing has created a generation of people who will do anything for attention. Drunk videos insulting men for views, starting fights with strangers for TikTok, destroying relationships for content. The addiction to viral moments has replaced basic dignity. They'll humiliate themselves publicly, then wonder why they're not respected privately. The double standards about finances are insane. A woman making $30,000 a year will call a man making $60,000 broke. Someone with $40,000 in student loan debt for a useless degree will shame a plumber making $80,000 because it's not a professional job. They want the benefits of traditional male provision while contributing nothing traditional themselves. I know a guy, electrician, makes great money, owns his house. Woman he dated, barista with an art degree, told him she couldn't be with someone who lacked ambition. She lives with 3 roommates and can't afford her own Netflix. But in her mind, her degree makes her superior to his trade. The delusion is that credentials equal value regardless of actual contribution. The blind bandwagon behavior is terrifying. They'll attack someone online without knowing why, just because everyone else is. They'll repeat talking points they don't understand. They'll destroy someone's life based on a tweet they misinterpreted. The mob mentality combined with social media has created an army of people who outsource their thinking to trending hashtags. a perfect example. The whole body positivity movement got hijacked. Started as accepting different body types, became demanding people find obesity attractive. Now if you have any physical preferences, you're fat-phobic. But these same people won't date short men. The cognitive dissonance is remarkable. Everyone must accept them unconditionally while they reject others freely. The unrealistic expectations around adult entertainment earnings is tragic. Young women being told they'll make millions on OnlyFans, only to discover the average creator makes less than $200 a month. They've permanently damaged their reputation, their future career prospects, their relationships, for beer money. But the narrative continues because the few who succeed need fresh competition to fail against. The delusion in dating expectations is clinical level denial. They'll spend years chasing men who explicitly say they don't want relationships, then blame all men when it doesn't work out. They'll ignore the interested good guys to pine after the unavailable bad boys, then post about how no good men exist. The good men exist. They're just invisible to someone chasing chaos. I see this pattern constantly. Someone will have 10 decent people interested in them, but they want the one person who treats them badly. Then they'll trauma bond to the toxic person, create a whole narrative about trying to fix them, and when it inevitably fails, they'll say dating is impossible. No, dating isn't impossible. Your selection process is broken. The denial about aging and attractiveness decline is pure delusion. A 35-year-old woman can't compete with a 25-year-old woman for male attention. That's not misogyny, it's biology. But instead of accepting this and adjusting expectations, they'll use filters, angles, old photos, and then get angry when men aren't interested in the real version. Reality doesn't care about your feelings about reality. The shaming of men for normal jobs while demanding luxury is peak entitlement. The guy who picks up your garbage, delivers your packages, fixes your plumbing. These are essential workers, but they're beneath someone who makes coffee or posts pictures online. The delusion is that service jobs are only respectable when women do them. 10:05. The financial domination culture is sociopathy marketed as empowerment. Women literally demanding money from strangers for existing, insulting men who don't pay, calling it knowing their worth. Your worth isn't determined by what desperate lonely men will pay for your attention. That's not empowerment. It's exploitation of mental illness. The manipulation through fake kindness tests is evil, pretending to reach for the check on dates to test if he'll stop them. Offering to pay, then losing respect if he accepts. Creating no-win scenarios, then using the results to justify their pre-existing beliefs. It's not testing character. It's manufacturing failure to avoid accountability for their own choices. Single mothers demanding provider treatment from strangers has reached absurd levels. If you can't handle me and my kids, you're not a real man. Why should a stranger handle your kids? Why should someone you just met become an instant father figure? The entitlement to believe that your past decisions obligate future partners to immediate responsibility is delusional. The expectation that men should practice providing even when not dating is insane. I saw a video where a woman said men should randomly Venmo women money to practice generosity. Practice for what? For the honour of potentially dating someone who sees you as an ATM. The delusion is that male money should flow to women by default. The offering nothing traditional while demanding everything traditional is everywhere. Can't cook, won't clean, doesn't want children, isn't pleasant, but expects a man who provides, protects, commits and cherishes. They've abandoned every traditional female role while demanding men maintain every traditional male role. That's not feminism, it's supremacy. A client dated someone who proudly said she doesn't do girlfriend things until there's a ring, wouldn't cook, wouldn't be supportive, wouldn't be affectionate. But she expected him to pay for everything, fix her car, help her move. When he ended it, she was shocked. The delusion is that relationships are one-way transactions where men invest and women evaluate. The accusing men of being less masculine for wanting simple companionship is projection. A man says he wants peace. They call him weak. A man wants a drama-free relationship. He's boring. A man doesn't want to fight constantly. He's not passionate. They've confused dysfunction with depth, chaos with chemistry. Healthy relationships bore them because their nervous systems are addicted to stress. The superficial criteria for rejecting men while having massive red flags themselves is comedy. She'll reject a guy for wearing the wrong shoes while she's got 3 kids from 3 different men. She'll swipe left on someone for their height, while her credit score is 400. She'll demand perfection while being a walking disaster. The delusion is that standards only apply upward. I watched a woman make a TikTok about how she could never date a man who dances on social media because it's cringe. Her entire feed, thirst traps and attention-seeking content. But him having fun is embarrassing. The lack of self-awareness is stunning. They'll judge men for behaviours they exceed daily. The high-value woman delusion needs to be addressed. Calling yourself high-value doesn't make it true. Value is determined by what others are willing to invest, not what you declare about yourself. A truly high-value person doesn't need to announce it. Their results speak for themselves. But social media has convinced average people they're exceptional for existing. The rewriting of relationship history is standard now. Every ex becomes a narcissist. Every relationship becomes abusive in retrospect. Every breakup becomes trauma. They can't just say it didn't work out. It has to be a dramatic narrative where they're the perpetual victim of malicious men. The delusion is that failed relationships equal abuse. The therapy speak weaponization has made honest communication impossible. Everything is gaslighting, love bombing, narcissistic abuse. Disagreeing is invalidating their experience. Having boundaries is controlling. Expecting reciprocation is emotional manipulation. They've turned psychological terms into weapons to avoid accountability. A guy I counsel had his girlfriend accuse him of gaslighting because he remembered an event differently than she did. Not lying, just different recollection. That's not gaslighting. That's being human. But the accusation shut down any possibility of resolution. The terminology becomes a tool for winning, not understanding. The social media validation machine has destroyed their ability to assess reality. 1,000 simps telling them they're perfect creates a false sense of value. Those likes and comments aren't real interest. They're desperate men shooting their shot at everything. But it inflates ego to the point where real-world feedback feels like persecution. The projection of their own behaviour onto men is constant. Women who've cheated assume all men cheat. Women who use men for money assume all men use women for sex. Women who lie assume all men lie. They can't conceive that others might operate differently than they do. The delusion is that their dysfunction is universal. The inability to compete driving the destruction of competition is fascinating. Instead of improving themselves to compete for quality partners, they try to eliminate competition, shaming men for preferring younger women, attacking women who maintain their appearance, trying to change beauty standards rather than meeting them. It's participation trophy mentality applied to dating. The all men are trash narrative while desperately seeking male validation is peak cognitive dissonance. Posting about how men are worthless while checking DMs constantly, declaring independence from men while requiring male attention for self-worth, claiming not to need men while their entire identity revolves around male perception. I saw a woman's Instagram story yesterday, 10 slides about how men are garbage, followed by a thirst trap fishing for compliments. The same men she's insulting are the ones she's trying to attract. The delusion is that you can openly despise a group while expecting that group to desire you. The consequences avoidance through identity politics is everywhere. Can't get a job, sexism, can't keep a man, misogyny, can't afford things, wage gap. There's always a systemic reason for personal failures. The delusion is that society is conspiring against them rather than their choices creating their outcomes. The believing their own propaganda problem is getting worse. They actually believe the lies they tell themselves, that their body count doesn't matter, that their attitude isn't a problem, that their standards are reasonable. They've repeated the delusion so often they can't distinguish fantasy from reality anymore. The inflation of basic activities to heroic achievements is embarrassing. I'm a single mum. Okay, so are millions of others. I have a degree, so does everyone else. I pay my own bills. That's called being an adult. The participation trophy generation thinks normal adult functioning deserves celebration. A woman made a viral TikTok about being a boss because she meal preps on Sunday. That's not boss behaviour, that's basic adult planning. But the bar is so low now that cooking your own food is considered an achievement worth broadcasting. The delusion is that minimal effort equals maximum value. The strategic incompetence while demanding competence is infuriating. Can't change a tyre but wants a real man. Can't manage money but wants a provider. Can't maintain a home but wants traditional treatment. They've abandoned competence while maintaining standards. You can't demand what you don't deliver. The dating app delusion data is brutal. Studies show women rate 80% of men as below average attractiveness. That's mathematically impossible. But instead of recognising their standards are warped, they conclude there's a shortage of good men. The good men exist. They're just invisible to someone chasing the top 10% while being in the bottom 50%. The relationship astrology replacing relationship work is pathetic. We didn't work because he's a Scorpio. I can only date Leos. Mercury was in retrograde. No, your relationship failed because you were impossible to please. The stars didn't sabotage you, your personality did. But accepting that would require accountability. The believing social media equals reality has destroyed a generation. Those perfect relationships online, staged, those wealthy lifestyles, fake, those happy couples, fighting behind cameras. But they compare their reality to everyone else's performance and wonder why they feel inadequate. The delusion is that Instagram reflects truth. The commodification of relationships while expecting romance is contradictory. Everything is transactional. What can you do for me? What do you bring to the table? What's your value add? Then they wonder why relationships feel empty. You can't monetize every interaction, then complain about lack of genuine connection. The I deserve mentality without the I provide balance is unsustainable. You deserve what you earn, not what you want. You deserve what you contribute to, not what you consume from. But the delusion is that deserving is determined by desire rather than reciprocation. The groupthink validation chamber has made individual thought extinct. They don't form opinions. They adopt whatever their friend group or social media feed promotes. Challenge one, you challenge all. Date one, you're dating the committee. The hive mind has replaced individual consciousness. I watched a woman's friend group convince her to leave a good man because he asked her to contribute to rent after she moved in. Financial abuse, they called it. The man was paying 80% of everything, just wanted some contribution. But the group decided he was toxic, so he became toxic. Reality doesn't matter when the committee has spoken. The confusing attention with attraction is universal. Getting DMs doesn't mean you're desirable, it means you're available. Men shooting their shot at everything doesn't validate your value, but they've confused quantity of interest with quality of options. 1,000 desperate men wanting you doesn't make you wanted by quality men. The independent woman, who requires constant support, is everywhere. Independent with male help, strong with male protection, successful with male resources. That's not independence. That's dependence with attitude. True independence doesn't require announcement or assistance. The vilification of male success while expecting to benefit from it is schizophrenic. Rich men are evil, but I want one. Successful men are toxic, but I deserve one. Ambitious men are problematic, but they're the only ones worth dating. They hate what they hunger for, then wonder why they're starving. The social media court of public opinion replacing actual justice is terrifying. Accusations equal guilt. Denial equals guilt. Silence equals guilt. There's no defense against the mob once they've decided you're problematic. The delusion is that collective emotion equals truth. A man I know lost his job because his ex posted edited text messages making him look abusive. Full context showed she was the aggressor, but the damage was done. His career destroyed by someone who couldn't handle rejection. But she's the victim in her narrative, supported by strangers who don't know the truth. The expecting traditional benefits while providing modern problems is the summary of the delusion. They want to be courted like it's 1950 while acting like it's 2050. They want grandfather's respectful treatment while displaying grandmother's worst nightmare behaviour. The disconnect between expectation and delivery has never been wider. The men need to do better mantra while refusing self-improvement is projection. Men need to earn more while they earn nothing. Men need to be more attractive while they gain weight. Men need to be more emotional while they mock vulnerability. It's always about what men need to do, never about what they need to become. The delusion has created a generation of people waiting for what they'll never find. Perfect partners who accept their imperfections unconditionally. Perfect providers who require nothing in return. Perfect relationships without personal growth. They're waiting for fantasies while reality passes them by. The wake-up call is coming. The wall is undefeated. The biological clock doesn't care about empowerment. The dating market is correcting. The delusion is starting to crack as consequences accumulate, but for many the awakening will come too late. The solution isn't complicated, but requires what they resist most. honest self-assessment, real recognition of value versus perceived value, actual accountability for choices, genuine growth instead of affirmation seeking. But that's harder than maintaining the delusion, so the delusion persists. The men checking out aren't coming back. They've seen behind the curtain, they've recognized the game, they've calculated the risk-reward ratio. The delusion that men will always be there, always chase, always provide, is meeting the reality that men have options too, including the option to not participate. The future belongs to those who reject the delusion, people who see reality clearly, who understand actual value, who recognize that relationships require reciprocation, who know that respect is earned, not demanded. The delusional will age out of the market, wondering what happened while reality-based people build actual connections. The rationalization hamster never stops running. Every failure has an external cause. Every consequence has someone else to blame. The mental gymnastics required to maintain the delusion, while reality contradicts it daily, is exhausting to watch. They'll twist any situation to avoid the simple truth that their choices created their circumstances. The healing journey that never ends is another delusion. Perpetual victims of past relationships who never actually heal, just collect more grievances. They're not healing, they're rehearsing. Every new relationship becomes about the old one. Every new partner pays for the last one's sins. The delusion is that talking about trauma equals processing it. The conflation of confidence with delusion is epidemic. Confidence is believing in your actual abilities. Delusion is believing in abilities you don't have. But they've been told that declaring themselves queens makes them royalty. That demanding Prince Charming makes them princesses. The gap between self-perception and reality has never been wider. The divine feminine movement is peak delusion. They think doing nothing while expecting everything is somehow spiritual. That being difficult is being in your feminine energy. That creating chaos is goddess behavior. They've spiritualized dysfunction and called it enlightenment. The divine feminine they're channeling is more like demonic possession. The exhaustion of men dealing with this is real and growing. Good men are tired of being treated like projects. Successful men are tired of being treated like ATMs. Emotional men are tired of being mocked. Strong men are tired of being called toxic. The delusion that men will endlessly tolerate this treatment is meeting its expiration date. Every man watching needs to understand the delusion is real, it's widespread, and it's dangerous. Protect yourself. Value yourself. Don't accept less than you provide. Don't enable delusion by participating in it. Reality always wins eventually, but you don't have to lose while waiting for others to see it. The correction that's coming will be brutal. When the attention dries up, when the options disappear, when the biological reality hits, when the consequences compound, the delusion will shatter against reality like waves against rocks. Those who built their identity on delusion will have nothing left. The delusion of modern women isn't just getting out of control, it's reaching its natural conclusion. A generation raised on participation trophies and you go girl affirmations is meeting the reality that the world doesn't care about your feelings. The correction will be brutal for those who can't adapt. I want to hear your stories. What's the most delusional thing you've encountered? What made you realize the disconnect from reality? When did you recognize the pattern? Drop your experiences below. Let's document this sociological disaster while it's happening. The delusion is real, and it's time we stopped pretending otherwise.